There you go. Let's get started for the control statements on Python, what we are about to learn today. So yeah, exactly as you know, previously in my previous classes, I was explaining about the control statements, what are its, and what we are going to learn today. So yes, control statements, as you know, that are used to control the order of execution of a program. So there are the two types of primitive loops. There are the while and for loop, as you already know, and we also have the three control statements, which are also reserved keywords in Python. Those are continue, break, and pass. So let me just explain you what exactly means the continue, break, and pass. Continue basically continues a sequence. If you just type 1 to 10, and if you wanted to skip a certain value, it basically skips that particular value and give you the continuous sequence by skipping the given value. Whereas a break exactly breaks at a certain value. Let's say if you want to break at 5 in a range of 1 to 10, and you can directly go ahead and use this particular keyword break, so that it can just break that particular statement till 5, and it can give you the output for 1 to 4 in a range of 10. Pass is generally used as a neutral, which you would be learning now in the session. So loop, as you already know, that it's repeatedly, it's a continuous loop. So we have a while loop and a for loop, whereas a while loop allows the codes to be executed repeatedly based on the Boolean condition, whether it is true or false. So let's do a quick example with the while. As you know that while, if you just write true, and if you would, this is the keyword while, and true is a Boolean statement, whether it's true or false, and whether if you just go ahead and print, let's say Python over here, and execute this particular program, it's a never-ending loop. Okay, so as you can see that output, it's like keep on printing it. It's not able to stop. So whereas the true is being used for that. So let's go ahead and there's a short example which I would wanted to show you how exactly the while loop runs. So let me just stop the execution here and let me just erase it. So let's print a sequence from 1 to 10 before continuing to the for loops. Okay, let's learn the while loop perfectly. So let's say if I say I is equal to 1, and if I say while n is less than or equal to n is less than or equal to 10, and if I just go ahead and print I over here, so you can see this. I'm so sorry, as you can see here, if I just execute this output, you would be getting this particular it's like a never ending loop again. Why do you think it's happened like that? So you can see the condition. Did I type the condition perfectly? As you can see here, I is equal to 1, where I, if I is less than or equal to 1, equal less than or equal to 10, then just go ahead and print I. Why the statement like the execution is not stopping over here? Why it's keep on printing? So you must be like in a doubt. So we need to use something called as increments and decrements, as it's a while loop. So let me just stop the program. So I need to go ahead and write something called as I is equal to I plus 1. So basically what exactly does it? So it starts from the 1, like 1 is less than or equal to 10, and the condition satisfies, yes, it is true. So it can just directly go into it will just print you 1. Then I value will become I is equal to 1 plus 1, that is 2, and I will become 2. 2 is less than or equal to 10. You would get the 2 as an output. So it's keep on continuing till you would get a value of 10, let's say 11, let's say. So if the value becomes at 11, 11 is less than or equal to 10, the condition falls, so it comes out of the loop. So you can see here 1 to 10 values are being printed. As you can see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So now what if from this particular range, if I want to print 100, so just type 100 over here, you would be able to get the 100 range of Cs. So let's say if I use something called as end here, and if I just say separate all the values with a comma. So let's say you can see at the end of the output of each execution, you can see a comma has been printed. Okay, so it is still 100. So let me just go ahead and get the even numbers out of it, and also the odd numbers out of it. Let me just write a conditions. As you already know, the condition for the even number is equal to 2, and you can be able to go ahead and get the even numbers. Okay, so let's print this. You can see that 2 4 6 8 6 all has been printed. So what if I wanted to get the odd numbers? You can be able to get the odd numbers just like that: 1 3 7 9 11. See, you can see till the code of 99. So basically, you can do certain operations based on the conditions what you're trying to do. Okay, so let's get started and try to print a multiple table where you can you can see the multiple tables of 1, 2, 3 till 20. So let's try to print a multiple table. So let me just go ahead and erase this particular program and just write the multiplication table. So a code to explain. Okay, so let me just get started rather than writing, as you know, that's a multiple table. Okay, multiple tables. So I'm just writing a code for that. So let's say I have a number. I just wanted to get the table of, let's say, the number 7. Okay, so now I is equal to, I would just take 1 as we have previously wrote, while I less than or equal to 10. Okay, I would say print like this. I would like to use here as the number which I will be multiplying with. I would just try to get a symbols there like this. Okay, and I would like to multiply n with the I so that you would be able to get the result like the multiplication. Okay, so there you go. So we need to use something called as increment, like we will be using assignment operator to directly. I'm just writing I plus is equal to 1. That basically means I is equal to I plus 1. Okay, so let me just execute this program. You can be able to see the table which is being printed for the 7. Okay, similarly, what if you wanted to write a table which takes a user input? So you can pretty much write, since it's an integer, give a data type as an integer and just type input over here and just type enter number, let's say. So if you just execute it, you can just type any table. Let me just type the table number 19. Okay, you can be able to get the table number 19 perfectly like this. So what if you wanted to print the complete 1 to 20 tables at a shot? Okay, so we need to use a nested while. So let's learn the nested while over here. Okay, so let me just erase this. So now the value of number n, you can see here, I'm taking it as 1. Okay, so I would be writing something as, since it's a nested while. Okay, so I'm just taking n is equal to 1, where while I'm just writing n is less than or equal to 20 because I need tables starting from 1 to 20. So I would like to give a print statement that with a nice lines over here so that you can be able to understand which table it is, multiple table number, and I would like to give a number like this so that you can be able to have all the outputs as such. So let me just go ahead and put everything inside it so that you can be able to understand. So since it's an while loop and it is actually giving you the print for the multiple table numbers from 1 to 10. So let me just increment the value of n so that I would be increment like this. Here I would be writing, because as you know the indentations in our previous classes, which I will be writing here, n plus is equal to 1. Okay, so now what would I do is, let me just write I is equal to 1 over here. Let me just erase this from here. Let me just save this and execute this particular program. Let's see if it has been printed. So awesome. So you can see here multiple table number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 till 20 table, it's been printed. So you can pretty much do all the magics which is required with the particular control loops. And also a short trick for you, since you understood the nested loop, if you want, if you want to take a user input, let's say 5 times, so where you can go ahead and take a 5 times user input. So let's say I is equal to 1 over here, while I is less than or equal to 5. You can just say I. Okay, just normally I'm just printing the input statement, where you can just write as like enter numbers, let's say. Okay, enter inputs, let's say. Okay, so you can also see if I just type I like this, you can also have that how many times you're taking the input. So let me just execute it. Before, as you know, that we need to go ahead and increment it. So let's see, here it is, enter the input number 1. So here in the input, as I will type Alex, as you can see, this is throwing me an error. Why? Because why do you think it's like throwing me an error? What could be the reason? So awesome, guys, we have learned about the while loop. So let's learn about the for loops now. So as you know, the for loop is used for iterating over a sequence, which would be an either a list, tuple, dictionary, or set, or a string. So here, the for loop, basically it will be written like this. Something, the syntax would be for, if you say I in a range function of 0 to 9 values to be printed. If I just say print over I over here, what exactly happens? So range has a starting and the ending index, where the result would be always starting with the 0 if you don't give any starting index. So in this particular output you would be able to get something as like this. As you can see, 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. That, but it is started from 0 to the 9, but it hasn't printed the number 10. Why? Because the range, it will just give you the range of the numbers till the number which you have gave over here. So it will just go ahead and print you the range of 10. So the range of 10 is still 9. Okay, so what if you wanted to give the range, what if you wanted to write the numbers like 1 to 10 exactly? So how would you need to do it? So we will put a starting index as 1 and we'll put a range as 11, so that the interpreter will understand that you are giving a starting and the ending index, where the range will be ending at a certain number. So here, as you can see, if I execute this, I would get 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, pretty much. You understood, isn't it? So in the similar way, like as we have learned how to get the even and the odd numbers as well. So you can pretty much write even numbers like that, and you can just print the even numbers from 1 to 10. So you can have 2 4 8 and 10. So similarly for the odd numbers, just if the I percentile 2 is not equal to 0, it will be able to give you the result as 1 3 5 7 9. And as I already said, you can use an end to basically transform your code. Like if I just type anything in the inverted commas, let's say I just give a pipe bar. So basically at the end of all the line of the execution, you would be able to see that the bar has been printed. So like this, you can pretty much draw your program in the way you want it. So yes, this is about the for loop, and also let's see a basic example like of writing a table from 1 to 20 using the nested for loop, where you can understand what I'm talking about. For example, before jumping into it, so let me just tell you. So since directly I would be telling you how to print the tables from 1 to 20 using the for loop. So I would say here for n in range. So in this particular range, since I wanted 1 to 20 tables, so I would like to give something called as 1 comma 21, so that I would get 1 to 20 numbers of n, all the tables. So since I would, as you already know that we have did already, so like let's say multiple table number, and I would like to give the number n over here, so that you can have d like this. Now, okay, so as you know that for I in range, since I need from 1 to 10, so I would just write 1 to 11, as you already know. Now here I would be typing something called as n, the table multiplied with I would like to give n into I. So here, what exactly happens is you would be able to get the output in a nice way. So let's get it printed. As you can see that all the tables have been printed using the multiple loop. A moment. So let's do a sample code of understanding like what is the usage of the for loop, where we can use it. So let me just give you an advance where we use an append method over the list, so to go ahead and add an elements to an empty list and give you an output. Okay, so let me just take something called as names. Okay, where names is equal to, I'm just putting it as an empty list. This is nothing but an empty list where we will be adding the elements, nothing but the names. Okay, nothing but the names. So now here, since I have taken names is nothing but an empty list. So now what I'm going to do is, for example, like I needed to input like 5 names over here. So pretty much I would do it for I, or else if I just say input, okay, like this, input in caps, and I would say in range of 5, so that it can give me an out, so that we can take an input of up to 5 inputs. We can take the names and we can just directly append it into the names. Okay, so what would I do here? So here I would just write input, and since just a string, what I'm going to do is here I would be writing something as f enter name, enter name 1 2, like that. You'll be able to go ahead and execute it. The moment when you get the names, it should be, there should be something where you can go ahead and append into this particular name. So how would you do that? So let me just type names dot append, and I would be typing something called as input over here. So whatever the inputs which we would be taking, it would be directly go ahead and insert it inside the names. So let me get a print statement for the names, what are the names which we would be typing right now. So let's execute this program as you see here. So it's asking me to enter the name 0. So in this particular name, let me just enter clock, and let me just enter Peter, let me just enter Alex, let me just enter author. Okay, as you can see, it's asking me to enter the other name. Let me just enter April. Okay, as you can see, this we have got the names which are, since I have executed the print names, see the names now, which was an empty list before, now it has the elements, like 5 elements, whatever the inputs which we have taken it from the user, and directly appending and nothing but adding those all the elements inside the empty list. So as you can see, the names what we have inputted, clock, Peter, Alex, author, and April. So everything is already there. So like this, you can do a few examples. Okay, awesome. So since you have already known the append method, so let's do one more example to understand using the string manipulations. For example, let's say I have the word here. I have the word, let's say here as Python. Okay, so now this particular word, what if I just wanted an output, something as like let's say I just want this inside a list, and something as like this, as I can write over here, P Y, okay, which I would be completing it like once we execute the program. Okay, so as you know that why I'm actually trying to do is, it's just a word. Okay, it's just a word called Python, and if you just go ahead and just print word, you would be able to get the Python, the word over here. So what if let's say I will take an empty list. Okay, empty list like this. Okay, now what if I wanted to add each letter like as a single element inside a list? How would we do that? So as you know that we have something called as indexing and slicing, which we have learned. So if I just type over here 0, and let me just go ahead and just print this to understand the indexes. As you can see, only P, I have just got only P. So what if I just write here 3, what would I get in? I would get T. So these are nothing but the indexings which we have already learned. So let's go ahead and add those elements of each and every letter to the empty list. So how would we do that? It's very simple. You can use a for loop, and you can just simply say for I in word, and you can just say empty list dot append, and you can put I over here, and you can just try looking into the empty list what exactly that contains. As you can see that the Python is being printed. So this is what I was talking like earlier. So you got the output as Python, like each and every particular letter has been separated as an element inside a list. So these are the few tips and tricks which, apologies. So let's go ahead and just learn about the control statements, reserved keywords on the continue and break. So let me just erase this particular content and explain you what exactly the continue means, how exactly it skips the values. For example, let's say as we have just discussed, if I have for I in range of 1 to 11, let's say. Okay, so if I just type I over here, I would be able to get the output from 1 to 10, right? So what if I just don't want the number 5 to be printed from this, and I just want 1 2 3 4 6 7 8 9 10. So I just basically wants to skip the number 5. So what would I do it? What if I just type for I, if I is equal to 5, then I would like to say it's something called as continue. Okay, something called as continue. So let's execute this and see if it is right. So of course, as you can see that we have just got the values from 1 to 10, but skipping the number 5. Okay, so like this you can pretty much skip. Let's say I would be skipping 7. So if I execute this once again, you can see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 has been skipped, and 8 is been 8 9 10 has been printed. Now what if, like, you can pretty much write like the break statement similarly like that. So for example, let's say I just don't want to print after 5. So if I just use something called as break over here, what exactly happens is, if the number reaches till 5, it will just break the loop. Okay, so it will give you an output from 1 to 4, like this: 1 2 3 4. Okay, so what if you just write the number 7, let's say, you can be able to see 1 2 3 4 5 6 is been printed. 7 is been, the moment when it comes to the 7, it have just directly went ahead and it have came out of the loop. Okay, yeah, awesome guys. So there was a request which came recently, that how would you break down a mobile phone number, like generally a phone number, a 10-digit number, to a one number, where numerology, people usually take a number, like let's say if you have 99999, like that, the 10 numbers, let's say. Okay, so I think I have got the numbers right as 10. So what if you wanted to do a numerology on this particular number? Like basically you need to write a code by, you can just do it handy, like 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus so on, like that. I would type 10 times. No, it would give me a specific result. And once the result, let's say the result would be somewhere like this. Okay, so the result would be somewhere like 90, let's say. And then again you need to break down the number 9 plus 0, and the final output would be the number 9. So this is nothing but numerology. If you pretty much know about it, you would be able to get what I'm trying to achieve over here. So basically we are breaking down all the numbers like in a series of 10 digits, where we are breaking it down to the one number by doing the addition of it. Okay, so I hope you have got it what exactly I meant. So for example, let's say, what if I would take x is equal to the same elements 999 over. You can use your phone number and try this particular trick. You would be able to get what I'm trying to understand. Here you can have the 10 numbers. I hope I've just got the numbers right here: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Awesome, so I've just got the numbers right. So now I just need the so let me just type add 1 over here, which is nothing but 0. Okay, so I would be using something called as, since as you know that for loop, this is also an example for you to understand what exactly means the iterating over a sequence. Basically, iterating over a sequence, the for loop is used for iterating over a sequence only for the list tuple, dictionary set, or a string, but not an integer. So as you can see that x is which has a 10 digits over here, this is nothing but an integer, right? So how would you do it? So what if I do for I in x, if I just go ahead and if I just print I, do you think that it would be able to give you results like one by one? Of course it wouldn't, because it throws an error, like integer object is cannot be iterable. So what if I just convert this for a time being, just to get the result into a string? Okay, and execute this, you got the output as all the numbers been printed, all the nines has been printed. So we need to achieve our results. How would we do that? So let's see. So we need to design 3 patterns over here, which we needed to do a summation and get the output. So here what would I do is, so since add 1 is already 0, so what would I do is add 1 plus, or I can just directly say add 1 plus is equal to integer of x. Why I'm doing this? Because I'm storing an integer value in the addition, not not the string value. Okay, so you can just see is, I would just like to print it for an example, like what is the add one now. So the moment when I execute it, you would be able to see. Okay, let me just take out. Okay, the moment when you see that it's been printed like this. My bad, I have just needed to put an IO here. Okay, awesome. So if you can just see the execution, you would be seeing a result as 90. Awesome. So now here, since you got the 90, now again this particular 90, we need to break it like 9 plus 0 to get an final output. So how would I do that? Okay, so what if I just do add 2 which is equal to 0 again? What if I just do for I in, let's say, for I in nothing but the string of add 1. Okay, now I would be able to write something called as add 2, like the assignment operator. You can just pretty much use the integer of I again. Okay, so to get the final output. So let me just go ahead and print what would be the add 2. So let's see what is the add 2. So since you got already the number as 9. So nothing but this is your numerology number. Okay, this is your phone number. Okay, so you can just pretty much able to get the nice output like this. So you can just try using your phone number over here. Like you can just type any particular mobile number and you can see where what would be the sum of it, so that this particular code would be able to help you to break it down and able to give you the final result. So this is how it needs to be done, and you can pretty much try for other methods as well, like if you pretty much know about it. So uh, thank you guys. Let's get